Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and call the meeting to order. Tonight is Wednesday, March 30th. It's a special meeting, Mobridge City Hall, 5:30. Heather, would you call the roll, please?
Jensen,
Here.
Chemnitz,
Here.
Carlson, Mound, Landrieu,
Here.
Reichert.
Here. Okay, up next, we have Pledge of Allegiance. I'll ask Councilman Jeff to lead us.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, public hearing with Ted Dickey from NECOG. Ted, you're on the phone?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
I have in front of the commission tonight a resolution which would authorize Heather Beck to sign the application. But we also need to do a public hearing to discuss a worst-case scenario regarding where your rates will need to go to if the project we're applying for is all loan. So I'll get into a little bit on the project itself. The city is applying for $11,300,000 to make repairs to its existing water treatment plant. Also looking at making repairs to their water intake system in the Missouri River, and either raise the north water tower or put in a booster pump station to increase the water pressure, and replacing some water lines in town. Having said that, I sent a rate increase spreadsheet to Heather earlier this afternoon. It talks about, the first set of rows talks about, in a perfect world, if the city were, if each user were to use 5,000 gallons, how much that would generate for the city on a yearly basis. Take domestic users in town, there's 1,285 of them. Multiplier there, the 3697 represents what the in-town rates are for 5,000 gallons. That should generate a monthly fee of $47,506, a yearly about $570,077. So the next three rows there, the business in town, domestic out of town, and business out of town, again, just show what yearly revenue. So in a perfect world, $1,646. The late fees or hookup fees or anything like that, but it just gives you an idea what it should generate. So moving on to the next row there, the loan amount. Again, I have to present worst case scenario. So if they give you an $11,000,000 loan at a rate of 2.125% for 30 years, the monthly payback would be $42,476.88. Yearly payback would be $509,722.56. And then we get to the next column there, that 110% debt capacity. That's the magic number we need to look at. The state requires that a community collect an additional 10% above what their annual payback amount is. They do that for bond rating purposes, so they can keep a certain bond rating, which keeps their rates lower charged for. So that amount is $560,694.82. Then we move to the next set of rows there. The first one that we need to talk about is that $1 column. So for each dollar the city raises, should generate them a yearly increase of $19,548. So in order to afford a 100% loan, the city would need to increase the water rates by an additional $29 per user per month, and that would generate that $566,892, which is above the 110% debt capacity number of 560. Anybody have any questions where I came up with my math on that?
No, I don't think there's any questions right now, Ted.
Okay. So what we do know about what we're applying for here is that the state will match your local ARPA or American Rescue Plan Act funding dollar for dollar if it's pledged for this project. So Mobridge is receiving $615,879 in local ARPA funding. If the city pledges it, the state will match it. The city is receiving these in 2 tranches, I believe is what they're called, and the city has their first one. They will receive one 1 year after they receive the first one. So I would recommend the city do that and pledge that money so it's at least dollar for dollar. What we don't know is what the rest of the funding package is going to be. We will find that out sometime in June, and then we can tell the city what the rates are going to be going to. But right now, like I keep saying, it's a worst-case scenario. They give you a 100% loan, you'd be walking away from this thing because it would just be a bad deal. But we know at least they're going to match you dollar for dollar on the RPA money if you pledge it.
So if I've got this right, Ted, you're looking at the substantial increases, and you've said it a couple of times, I'll just repeat it. Worst case scenario, it's 100% loan money at that interest rate. I know we've talked about this before, but there could be some additional grants or other things thrown in to drive the loan price down. Is that a fair statement?
That is a fair statement.
Talking to the rest of the council, here's the list of all the improvements we've been talking about. They're all improvements that at one point in time are going to have to be done. I guess my feeling is we do them all, or as most all we can, and go for everything that we can now. And as Ted said, we can walk away from it, worst case scenario. But in some of the discussions with the engineers, if we're looking at piecing it together, a few million here, a few million there, keep kicking it down the road, we're just, I guess for lack of a better term, chasing our tail, because we're gonna be right back to where we started from down the road. So, if that makes sense to you guys. It makes sense to me, I don't know if it makes sense to you guys.
And you may not like hearing this, but you have really low water rates and sewer rates. The water rates are low because of your location. I mean, it's right there. You're pulling right off of it. There's a lot of communities that are already in that $55 to $60 range per 5,000 gallons on the water side. This is also going to be a competitive grant. The first round of funding, which we will hear about on April 12th and 13th, the state has $600 million set aside for it at $3.2 billion in funding requests.
Any questions, comments? Told you guys it was gonna be pretty intense.
I don't know, that interest rate, is there any wiggle on that, or is that pretty much set?
That is set. If anything, it'll go down, but highly unlikely.
Just was wondering, because usually interest rates are so low right now, and I thought, well, that's, you know what I mean? A little high for kinda, you know,
It's
for a city.
the 2.125 is the best rate out there. USDA's rates right now, which is the other loan side of things, would get you an additional 10 years on your term. However, they're at, I think, 2.5% is what they're going to as of April 1st.
Okay.
So, from what I understand, we might as well go ahead with it. It doesn't cost us anything if we do it or we don't do it.
Mhm.
See where it falls into play. It looks like
That's no,
it's a simple answer.
Yeah, again, worst case scenario, we have to borrow it all, but we probably wouldn't because you're talking tremendous rate increase in one shot, so.
Yeah, to see, I think we just do it and see where we fall into play.
Yep.
Makes sense.
The way things are getting, it's not gonna get cheaper.
No.
Okay, anything else, Ted?
If there's no other questions, we just need a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the resolution.
Does anybody else have any questions, comments? Okay, I'll go ahead and look for a motion to approve resolution 22-04.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Chemnitz,
Yes.
Mound,
Yes.
Landrieu,
Yes.
Reichert,
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Thank you, Ted.
Thanks, Ted.
Heather, what's your schedule look like tomorrow?
I'm here till noon.
Okay, I'll get you some items for signature then.
Yeah, and I'll be here early in the morning too, so,
Okay,
okay, thank you.
thank you. Have a good night, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next, I'm gonna get on our engineer who's helping us with the, fuel tank project at the airport, to go over the bids with those.
You need this?
Yep. I'm gonna go grab his cell phone number.
Gene, were you gonna let those guys know? A couple of those three guys right there were late. Were you gonna let them know?
I'll just let Mr. Weisbeck know. They'll be surprised.
Okay. Do they really wanna know? The mayor said if you guys were 1 minute past 5:30, you just get to sit here, he's gonna call Mr. Weisbeck and you guys don't get your credit.
You gotta come back.
Doesn't sound funny.
Yeah, you gotta get that is too.
Yeah.
She's not looking for extra points. There's the difference.
True story.
How many of you need these 10 points to graduate?
I know these three here probably do.
He knows where they work.
So who are you guys? Tell us who you are since we're waiting.
Zachary Schilling. Raymond Harrison. Sean Moser. Julie. Andrew Silverman.
So everybody else in your class has already been here? You guys are just trying to make up, is this extra?
So like the first one, it was considered as an assignment, so if you came and you did like the agenda sheet, you got 50 out of 50 points.
Mhm.
And then after that, if you keep coming to all of them, it's just 10 points each one we come to.
So you guys together lost 30? You're going backwards.
Tell you what, how much did we just authorize Heather to sign for in this resolution?
Hey, Charlie,
Who
sorry,
gave that
your
answer?
office number wasn't going through, so. No, that's okay, I'm gonna put you on speaker, okay? All right, one moment. There, Charlie?
Yes, Charlie Baker here.
So we're just to the Rebed Airport Fuel Tank Project item on the agenda. If you want to just give the council an overview of what happened, please.
Certainly. We had the bid opening and we received no bids. So we called several of the contractors that were listed on there. Two of them were listed in the plan holders list as prime bidders, and one of them that we knew because we work with private in the past as a supplier. So we reached out to them to find out why they didn't submit a bid. Both of the prime bidders had the general statement of they didn't have time to get the numbers together because they were receiving quotes too late. And that one I take with a grain of salt because the bid was advertised and met all the state requirements. And then when we called one of the suppliers, he indicated that he'd provided his quote to the prime bidders several days beforehand. But they also indicated that the pricing that they were seeing was more than the estimate, the engineer's estimated value. So they had concerns about the project moving forward. So essentially, they decided not to bid it. When we talked to the one supplier that we did, they may come back and submit a bid on their own because they were disappointed the project didn't go. And one of the other suppliers that I was in touch with here over the last day or so, they also indicated they may submit a bid. Just as some background, we had a similar fuel system that was bid at the Lemon Airport earlier this afternoon, and we received one bid on that project. It was O'Day Equipment, and their bid was $721,000. So it was again quite a bit more than our estimated for that project, and only one bidder. So I think the numbers that some of these contractors told us, and that I've given some updated information to Heather, showing a revised project cost of approximately $783,000 is probably where we're going to end up close to. I guess one of the other bits of information for you is I received an email from the FAA this afternoon, and I'd reached out to them, let them know what was going on, and indicated not only the pricing concern, but the no bid information. They've been seeing a lot of projects come in at higher bid prices, and one of the portions of the funding for this project we were looking at was some entitlement transfer. And we were uncertain at the time, and that's where the information I've given labeled it as uncertain, and it was in a red font. Well, the FAA indicated that a lot of those entitlement funds are being used up and there's a shortfall, and they don't think they can give any entitlement transfers to you for this project this year. And in their email, they strongly hinted at encouraging you to rebid next year, but it kind of is a city funding situation as to what you might want to do and how you might want to proceed. I guess, Heather, did that kind of summarize some of the bigger points that you and I have discussed over the last week or so?
Yeah, for the most part, our options are we either rebid it now this year and see how the prices lie, or we wait until next year where we have another year's of entitlements, or we don't do the project.
How did Lemon finance theirs? How
Yeah,
did
I would
Lemon
agree.
finance theirs? You said Lemon had a bid?
Yeah, they did.
And how are they paying for theirs?
They have some additional years of entitlements built up for them. You guys only have $150,000 worth of entitlements built up, plus some of the new infrastructure funding of $159,000 that would be available. And you could multi-year your entitlements and use next year's entitlements as well. And that would give you $459,000 that they could basically put under grant for it.
And the remaining portion would be city share that we would have to basically fund the project until our entitlements caught up.
Yes, and there we'd have to have some conversations with the FAA about that. They can multi-year your entitlements for 1 year because that's as far as their program is authorized by Congress. If we went into future years, yes, they might be able to go back and get you that money. I think they could give us a verbal on it, but I don't think they could give us any strong commitments.
So essentially, there's no guarantees.
Yes.
So the city basically would have 459,000, but the remaining amount could possibly fall on to the city out of pocket.
potentially.
So if we were to rebid, see how prices come out, if we don't do the project, what the city would be out is our engineering costs.
Yes, for the design, roughly 63,000.
So, as some of the council knows, the problem that we have of not having a full-time person always out there is you don't have jet fuel available for medical flights or whenever somebody else needs jet fuel, which is where the tank project originated. If we don't do this, we're gonna have to do something with our current system. The jet fuel truck itself right now has a small leak, so we have to either figure that out. The truck itself isn't in great shape, so we may end up buying a new truck, which is, what'd you say, Charlie, 250? You think you could get one?
Yeah, that's what I found when I did a quick search on the internet.
So you'd spend the 250 plus you're out the engineering fees of $67,000. Plus you still haven't solved the issue of always having to have somebody run out to fuel up a plane with jet fuel, where this system, the pilot could fuel themselves.
How much different was Lemon's fuel system than ours? So is it two completely different projects? Or comparable?
Theirs was a combination of a 100 low lead and Jet A, but they didn't have to, they were able to locate in a spot that didn't involve so many impacts to your apron, and that drives some of this cost as well. So while it is a fuel system, there are some things comparable. There's enough difference that it's not an apples to apples comparison.
But you said theirs was 720,000?
Yes.
I guess in my mind, I think we go ahead and rebid it, see where the pieces fall into place.
Because between the truck and all the other stuff, it's a horse apiece.
So let me ask you this, so how does Heather, how does the entitlement work? So you have 159,000 entitlement every year?
150,
Every year.
yes.
So could we use that 150 for the next X years to pay for this system?
That's
To offset it?
That's what we can't guarantee. There's a possibility that they would be willing to do that, but the FAA is only funded on a year-by-year basis. And correct me if I'm wrong, Charlie, so there's no guarantees that after year 23 that we could have an entitlement to be able to put towards the project. So there is that risk of just not being refunded that amount.
So in year 24, we'd be on the hook for the 400+ thousand.
Well, we'd be on the hook for it now, so you'd have to cash flow the project until your entitlement's caught up.
But if your
It's easy,
entitlements don't catch up,
just,
you're stuck.
Just ask for the entitlements in advance. They're entitlements.
We're entitled.
There you go. I think we go ahead and just rebid it and see where the pieces fall out, and maybe by that time we can figure out what the FAA, if we're gonna get more money or not. I mean, we spent the money on the engineering.
Right.
Because if we wait 2 more years, the engineering will probably have to be redone, I would guess.
Yes.
I don't think we're committing to do, I think we're committing just to do another bid and see where it falls into play.
I guess my personal thoughts are, money be damned, for lack of a better term. What do you do in 3 years if someone needs a Metaflight and we can't get fuel to a helicopter or an airplane? So, my opinion, my thoughts, but it's up to you guys.
That's right, you're right, though. I'll make a motion to rebid.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second to rebid for airport fuel tank project. Heather, would you call the roll, please?
Mound? Yes. Landrieu?
Yes.
Reichert?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Chemnitz?
Yes.
Okay, motion carried.
Thank you, Charlie. I'm gonna let you go.
All right, I'll be in touch with you tomorrow, Heather.
Sounds good,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Okay, finally, new business, approve a plat. Last item in your packet. Kyle, can you tell us about it?
It's just a plat up on my house to build
Okay.
houses.
Any other questions, comments?
It's already been approved by the zoning committee.
So this is kind of a formality, so if there's no questions or comments, I'll look for a motion to approve the plat as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Chemnitz,
Yes.
Jensen,
Abstain.
Reichert,
Yes.
Landrieu,
Yes.
Mound.
Yes.
Okay, motion carried. If there's no other business before the council, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
did you pass a resolution to look for the funding and I missed it? I'm sorry.
On which one?
On the first project?
The water project?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, we did.
Okay, sorry.
Resolution 22-04. City administrator is hereby authorized to execute the application and submit it to the South Dakota Board of Water and Natural Resources. Any more questions? Okay, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Chemnitz.
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Reichert.
Yes.
Landrieu.
Yes.
Mound.
Yes.
Okay, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.